Hi everyone, Chris Betcher here. I have a little tip for you of something new that's just appeared in Google Classroom. You've always been able to add a rubric to an assignment, and there's a rubric button just down here. And you've always been able to create a rubric from scratch, where it's got the rubric creator, and you've got to add your criterion and add your levels. And it's laborious to do and it takes a bit of time, but it does do a great job of creating the rubric. However, there are some shortcuts. You can always go to reuse an existing rubric. So if you've got one you've created from another class and it's also suitable for this task, you can click on an existing rubric and bring that in and import it, and it works fine and saves you a bit of time. The third way you can do it is to import a rubric from Google Sheets. And if you click on that, it'll go and look into your Google Sheets for the rubric that you've got, and you can import it in. Now, the trouble with that is the rubric format a classroom needs looks something like this. So it says up here, recommended you do not edit rubrics in the spreadsheet format, okay? Because this is a really specific format and it's pretty easy to mess it up. And it's probably not what most people expect, because most people would have an existing rubric that looks something like this. It's just sitting in a Google Doc or a Word file, and that's what we think of when we think of a rubric, not something like this. Well, the good news is we now have an extra option here to convert from a file. So now if I click on the convert from file button and I go back and I find the regular rubric in just a Google Doc and say add, then Gemini will step in, run a bit of analysis on that document, try and make sense of what it's actually about. And in just a few moments, you'll see it will come up with a rubric fully converted for Google Classroom. So here you are here. You can see it's done a pretty good job of identifying the different headings and the different levels and the different scoring systems. As always, you've got the option to use scoring or not use scoring, to view it in ascending order or descending order. So I think it's done a great job. If I save that, you'll see that that rubric is now attached. And if I now click it, it'll open up and I can see exactly what it looks like. And this is what the students will see. So really useful tool now to be able to take your standard rubrics that you've always had in your Google Drive as doc files or maybe Word files, and bring them into Classroom and convert them into something that works and looks exactly like it needs to for Google Classroom. Hope that helps.